Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Far Muhammad. And I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed thine exalted Christ. I furthermore indeed bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the national representative of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Messiah today. I greet you all in the nation greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. All praises are due to Allah. On behalf of Brother Albert Muhammad and the Let Us Make Man family. As always, family, we continuously thank you for your support. We thank you for taking a few moments of your time to watch the videos, read our posts, support our cause, our efforts in the plight of the Black community. We can never thank you enough. I want to take a few moments of your time, family, and address this particular post. 30 with an L. Life behind bars as a minor. And I want you to understand that this particular subject literally derived from the lack of love and support that our young people are not receiving. And because of that, they make critical life decisions. And so some of the language that may be used may not be acceptable for some of us who chime in to this particular video. So I fast and pray and beg your pardon for any shortcomings. But this video, I literally want and pray Allah that it can get sent out, go viral to our young people from 15 to 21. It's about life behind bars at the ages anywhere between, I say 15, but we can start at 12 and on down if that be the case. Because in reality, most of our people, our young people, are literally clueless in regards to the repercussion of their acts and deeds. And so there's some stories that we will share from individuals that are experiencing life behind bars from 15 on up. If you think about it, our open enemy is the engineer of what's happening to our young people, right? And you say, well, Brother Albert, why is it that Black people always want to blame everybody else for the things that happen in the Black community? As if to say it doesn't happen in other communities, and I'm not saying that it doesn't. But I'm speaking to the over 10,000 minors under the age of 18 that are housed in jails and prisons across America. Don't have a clue of what they're walking into. Because peer pressure and the desire and the need to be loved and accepted causes our young people to make irrational or irrational decisions, which dictates their lives. In 1995, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam put on one of the greatest events that America has seen, the Million Man March. And they had a powerful agenda. All you would have to do is go back and watch the entire Million Man March. But let me ask you something. Do you think that we were the only one watching? You don't think that our open enemy was on top of the Million Man March from word go? When the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan announced and called for 1 million, our open enemy had no doubt that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam would be successful in getting over 1 million black men in D.C. 1995 on a Monday. Think about it. One of the busiest days out of the week, because it's the start of the week for corporate America. On Monday, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan went to work immediately. He crisscrossed America and had all men's meetings. There were women who were enraged and protesting because they felt that they would oust and disrespect it because they just didn't understand the power of God, because they couldn't see beyond their own wants and desires. Nevertheless, the Nation of Islam stood firm with the all men's meetings that led up to that beautiful day, miraculous day, the Million Man March. However, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam crisscrossed America, leading up to the Million Man March, galvanizing black men in all men's meetings, our open enemy went to work to counter the effect and the success of the Million Man March. And you're probably saying to yourself, brother, what does that have to do with this subject that you're dealing with? I'm showing you how we have gotten where we are with our youth in the streets of America today, and the prison pipeline. You know, how these things formulated. You see, the Quran says, Allah says that Satan say to Allah God, I will make them all deviate. And the God responded and said, you could have all except my purified ones. And Satan went to work, and he was able to make those who were not purified deviate. And so the same thing went in motion in countering the Million Man March. They knew, the government of the United States, that they could not allow the light of God to shine on black youth. And the words delivered by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to resonate and set in the hearts and minds of black youth in 1995. It's 2024. Approximately 10,000 minors under the age of 18 are housed in jails and prisons intended for adult offenders. And juveniles make up 1,200 of the 1.5 million people imprisoned in state and federal detention facilities, including children in adult jails and prisons, creates a variety of risks and issues for these juvenile offenders. For example, minors are 5 times more likely to be sexually assaulted in adult detention facilities and are 36 times more likely to commit suicide if housed in adult jail or prison. You probably saying to yourself, man, I ain't got time for this shit. Man, I got something else to do. We hear this all the time, and this is why it's happening. This is why it's happening. Our lack of love for self and one another. We love to turn a blind eye to what we know is injustice, especially when it's afflicted on ourselves. With that statistic among youth, and these numbers have increased since the day of this particular writing. These numbers have increased all across the country. They have what they call PREA, prison. Listen to me real good. This is a Prison Rape Elimination Act. Prison Rape Elimination Act. To my young brothers, ages 15 on up, you live a thug life, gangster, Bloods, Crips. Because it's unfortunate that that's where our mentality is today. But it was organized and set up to be that way. See? So to counter the Million Man March, they began to put things in the black community that would distract our young people who would adhere to the messages that they were receiving during the all men's meetings that led up to the Million Man March. Right? So if you were a part of it or involved with it, like myself, you would be well aware of the results that we were seeing on each meeting during the Million Man March, during the all men's meeting when it initiated. This message is literally for our young people, since we think that 30 with an L, 30 to life is something to play with. We think that we'll get out of prison in no time because we're young. And at 15 or 16, if I get 30 to life or whatsoever, that I may be free in a matter of time. And the sad reality is the rape that's taking place, the assaults that's taking place on the young people that are actually into the prison systems today are not literally coming from the elders in the prison system, right? These acts are taking place for the same people that are at the same age range in the prison with the same charge. Do you know what 30 to life is? Nah, we don't know what 30 to life is, right? In some of these institutions, You have staff raping children, and they'll put it on the inmates because it's easy to put it off on them. So when you go to prison, my brother, young brother, you don't have your 40 Glock, your street sweeper, none of that. As Tupac says, you against the world at that point, right? In 2018, an estimated 7.1% of youth in juvenile correctional facilities reported being sexually victimized during the prior 12 months, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. The estimate reflects a decrease from the 9.7% of youth who reported being sexually victimized in juvenile facilities. Let me tell you something. I saw a video the other week or a month ago in Chicago right now, downtown in the county jail. These young brothers are assaulting each other in the most vicious ways. So your little son or daughter who don't want to listen to a damn thing because their head hard as a rock. And many of us are afraid of our children. And so they wind up getting caught up, right? You think the judge and the courts give a damn? The prison system is a business. It's a corporation. People don't build prisons just to have them sitting there. They build them to fill them up with bodies that make money off it. See, this kind of talk many of our people don't want to hear because there's not a lot of us really talking about the reality of what's actually taking place, right? Many of them are not making it out of prison. And you go in at 15, and if you don't commit suicide, right, someone else may kill you or you may kill somebody. And to never see the streets again, I introduce you to your new furniture in our post. Your new living room set, your new kitchen set, your new bedroom set. I introduced you to that in this post. So when you 15 or 16 and you don't want to listen to nobody, and you get in front of the courts, your whole damn family in there, your mama, your daddy, your uncle, your cousins, and that judge, or not even the judge, but the jury sitting the verdict down. And the verdict says 15 to life because you took somebody's life without remorse. Now your whole damn family in there crying. That ain't gonna do a damn thing for you. See, 30 with an L is 30 to life. That means you would have to do 30 years. So at 15, if you do 30 years, that'll put you at 45. I stand to be corrected, right? So that means 30 years of your life, if you make it to 45, is gone. It's gone. Most of them are not making it. They have little gangs in the prison. And some of them you may be familiar with, or you may know, or you may have grew up with. And you come in. Yeah, I know this ain't the kind of talk you want to hear. Shit, I don't come up here and say the stuff that you want to hear. It would be a waste of my energy. I'm not here to impress no man. If Allah inspires me to address a particular subject, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not giving you anything of my own. These are stats and statistics from the government of the United States of America. And if you ever been in prison, then you would know what I'm talking about. If you ever been in prison for an extensive period of time, you would totally understand what I'm talking about because you have already seen the reality of what I'm talking about when these young brothers come in, right? Fresh out of the jail. Out of the streets. Naive. Don't know what the hell is going on. Instead of sitting down and learning, they want to move with what's going on in the prison, not realizing how they're being set up to be sold like product. Huh? And it's happening with the younger ones today, because the younger ones in the prison systems are far much more wilder and more vicious than the elders that's already in there. Majority of the elders who may have already done 25 and 30, they're more laid back in the sense of saying, I'm good because I'm set. But it's these young ones that's coming in. 15, you getting like a life sentence, and you're being put in prison. I'm not trying to scare you, because at the end of the day, you're gonna do what you're gonna do. I fast and pray that this message that I'm sharing will get out to my young people. This ain't about trying to get this and be, nah, brothers and sisters, this is what's happening. When I watch and I see the crime that our young people are committing, heartless and senseless crimes, walking up on people, shooting people, and doing whatever they want to do, and you don't think that they should be held accountable? I'm not merciful and sympathy. I don't have that kind of mercy and sympathy. I'm just not that kind of fella. Inshallah, God willing, I'll grow into being more merciful like the God. But I got a long way to go. So when you sitting up here, you robbing and raping and killing people, you kicking people doors in, and you shooting children, you think I give a damn personally? Not at all. Because you reap what you sow. Papa said, you make your bed hard, you lay in it. You lay in it. I got 2 older sons. They know how I feel. Do I love them? Absolutely. It's not a matter of how much I love them. It's more so how much I love myself, to realize what am I going to do with myself, as opposed to worrying about what they're going to do with their lives. You could only give them guidance. And that's it, right? The Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, OJJDP, works with the states and territories to ensure their compliance with the Prison Rape Elimination Act and to protect youth in juvenile facilities. Well, don't you know, there's only probably 29 states that really respect this law. But the rest of them said, the hell with it. They're going to do what they want to do with these people, because of the vicious crimes they're committing. The vicious crime when you kidnap somebody and you hold them hostage and you torture them and you make them suffer before they die. Then when it's time for you to meet your maker, you want to cry mercy and empathy and sympathy. Justice is one's reward or penalty for their acts and deeds. See? This is a very interesting conversation that we have in this evening. I don't do things to be seen amongst men. All across America in the black community, we are all witnessing the murder rate among our young people escalating, and the funeral homes profiting off the mass amount of bodies that they're bagging and tagging and charging astronomical dollars. There's still corpses that are sitting in refrigerators for the last year because the families could not pay for the burial or pay the debt to the funeral home just for taking care of the body. You don't understand. I'm talking to young people, man. For those who are listening, I thank you for tapping in. But I'm talking to my young people. I'm talking to the 15-year-old gangster, the 15-year-old vice lord, the 15-year-old crip, the 15-year-old blood, the 16-year-old whatever they got going on. I'm talking to them, brother, because they're the ones who got to deal with it. You notice when you, as a vice or GD or whatever you call yourself, blood, crip, whatever kind of gang you got, you notice when you catch a case, they never come to court with your gang. You know who's at the court? Mama, sitting in there calling on some God now. Help me pray for my baby. See, this cracker don't believe in the same God we believe. Remember, they organized and they structured this system to do just what it's doing. See? And so in this particular system, it is set up for the underprivileged, the poor and underprivileged to be victimized in it. So it makes for you to do these kinds of crimes, right? The cost of living, buying food, providing for your children, your family. All that's structured for you to deviate from the path of God, which means work for what you want to get what you need. But you will deviate from that because the underworld seems more hefty or healthy, wealthy, it's the right word. And so you go for the underworld, right? And you have to kill, unfortunately. And a lot of you thinking you get, and this is crazy, I don't understand us. Why would you put a tattoo on your face? Like a little teardrop. And some of you are walking around with teardrops and ain't even killed nobody. And then you suffer from that because now you go to prison with a teardrop on your eye up in here somewhere, but you didn't kill nobody. And so now they're gonna treat you just like you think you are or deal with you the way you think you are. So you wanna be a gangster, right? Blood or crip, right? But yet, no, when you get behind bars, you don't have the so-called family or gang, and you run into some sort of affiliation in the prison. They setting you up as you young and naive and wild. See, they're being raped by prison staffs in many of these prisons, and it's all swept under the rug. This information we have to get to our young people, that they take a second look at their ways and actions. I mentioned the Million Man March because you have to understand how the open enemy had to counter the effect of the Million Man March on the minds of black men. Because if you were there like I was, and you looked out into the sea and the ocean of unified black men, coordinating and breaking bread in peace and harmony, all these so-called gangs and titles and descriptions, everybody was in peace. Our open enemy don't want to see that in the communities, in the black communities. If we take the word or phrase hood out of it and put the word neighborhood back into our communities, we'll be going down the path that the Nation of Islam instituted during the Million Man March. But they went right to work on countering that because they made drugs more accessible, more stronger, more deadlier. They made guns more accessible, more stronger, more deadlier, and easy for our young people to get a hold to. We don't have not one gun factory in the black community where we produce guns. We don't even have fire ranges. I'm talking about in the community and in terms of one second, in terms of in the community, because we don't have the ability or the intelligence to make guns. We don't have warehouses where we house artillery, shells, right? Bullets. for these AK-47s, these 9mm, these Glock 40s, these 45s, all that stuff that we be blowing each other brains out. We don't have none of that. And so because we don't have none of that, is the reality of our open enemy providing it to us, right? So we get this, I'm talking about young people now. We get this weapon or these weapons and we use it against each other. And then when you are stuck, again, standing in front of a judge or a jury, and they tell you 15 to life, and you only 15 years old. I saw a program where a young brother said, the officer said, do you know that you're gonna spend the rest of your life in prison? And he was sure that the rest of his life would be at 45. The officer said, nah, man, you will never see the streets again. You will never kiss your little girlfriend. If you have a child, you'll never get to know that child. You're not gonna be at her graduations, right? If your mama died, if your daddy died, you might make it to the funeral depending on the cost and where it's at. These are the things that they don't think nothing about until you're on the inside. And when you're on the inside, all of these things resonate in your mind, right? 30 with an L, 30 to life. Some of us think that being in prison is a game, is a badge of honor. I'm glad that there's a great percent of our young people who don't really see it that way. And they're doing all that they can to not go that route. But just imagine if you do go to jail and you get gang raped, right? Because you don't think that it can happen to you. And because you don't think that it can happen to you is when it does. And when it does is when you realize you just been violated and there ain't a damn thing you can do. There's a young man that shared a story about he went to prison when he was 15 years old. I'm trying to pull this up. He went to prison when he was 15 years old, and at 15 years old, right, he was gang raped, and the way he put it out, it was brutal. Let me read it to you. His name was Robert Daniel. Mr. Daniel learned how brutal Ohio's adult prison system can be on kids when he was a scrawny teenager. So when you go in prison, 9 times out of 10, you may not be bulky, you may not be big. I mean, to the degree you may be small and fragile. When I first, let me talk to you, because I done been there, man. Shit, I know what this is about, man. When I went in there, I was $1.25, man. But shit, I ain't fear nothing, man. Look here, brother. In my mind, I'm from the block. You got to do what you got to do. I'm talking about Trenton State Prison. They call it the Wall in New Jersey. I'm in there for no damn reason, but I'm there. I wasn't letting nobody violate me. I guess I was going to have to die. That was my mentality. That's the mentality of a lot of them. And guess what? They die. I was just blessed to be able to still be sitting here. I never was violated in prison. Nobody never touched me like that, period. I was more of a regulator than I was more of a regulator when I was there than I actually was when I was on the streets. Listen to Mr. Daniel. Daniel said one of 4 people convicted in 1994 slant. Daniel was one of 4 people convicted in the 1994 slayings of 2 Fairfield County high school girls. That's what he went in for. He ran into trouble shortly after beginning a life sentence, right, when he was 16. Listen to his story. He said, when a prison gang, now listen to how they get you. The prison gang invited him to join the 120 pounds. He weighed a buck and some change, 120 pounds. He declined. So in other words, he said, I don't want to join your gang, right? Soon after, Daniel said 3 men came into his cell and beat and raped him. Damn. See? So he wanted to back out. He didn't want to be involved in no gang. But they was going to do that anyway. So they was going to get him one way or the other. Because if he would have said, yeah, then the whatever you call it, when they jump you in, that's another word I was looking for. When they jump you in, that may have been part of it. You got to let us do this to you. So he said, nah. And then he said, I can still smell the sweat. That's how long they was banging on him. That he said, I can still smell the sweat. Daniel said during an interview from the correctional institution where he was at in Ohio, at 45, he continues to serve a life prison. So he was raped at 15. And at 45, the damage that they done to him, he can still smell the sweat of them all over him. Man. Kids, Daniel said, don't belong in adult prisons, even if they do deserve to be locked up for their crimes. All they're doing is exiting, getting worse, or they're becoming victims, he said. This is bad idea. So they're becoming victims in the prison. And there's a lot of prison staffs that are actually raping these young brothers and sisters, especially the young women. They don't really stand a chance. These young girls, 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, 14, 15, 16, they go to prison. They getting raped and you don't hear nothing about it. Because the prisons have a way of shutting your family out. They'll tell you they in lockup and they have no communication at all, right? I recall, I'll never forget this. One of my nephews was in a jail somewhere in New Jersey. I'll just say this. And the guards down there beat him to death. They tried. And they refused to allow him to contact his family. Listen to me good. I'm in Ohio at this point. Word got out. I'm going to show you how the word got out. Because there was someone on the inside that had sympathy and mercy for him. And allow him to call home using their cell phone. And that's how we got the word. I called there immediately and came to Jersey to that jail. And I went down and knocked on that door. And I spoke to the top brass. And I let them know I need to see my peoples or need to see some information by myself. I didn't go down there with a gang of people and nah, man, I fear no God but Allah, the one the messenger represents to us, Master Farad Muhammad. I went down there by myself. I'm not saying I'm no tough guy. Shit, they could have did anything they want. Once I walked across that door, that the other door locks. I don't got no key to that. But you can't be afraid when you stand on truth and justice. But I brought that up to show you how they isolate your people on the inside. And if you don't show no support to your family, then they suffer the worst, right? The teens are kept in a unit separate from adults, and change implemented after Daniel's attack when the Federal Prison Rape Elimination Act became law in 2003. So, but see, that's 2003. This is 2024. And majority of the states under this Constitution refuse to respect that law. So when you as a young person going into the prison system, right, fail to realize that you can be subjected to the same treatment Mr. Daniels received. Oftentimes it's coming from young people just like yourself who are actually mentally disturbed because they have been there for such a long period of time, right? This is a story about Bindo, Ohio's legal process of moving children who are disproportionately black and brown out of a juvenile justice system aimed at reform and into an adult system built for punishment. Ohio is one of the worst states to go to prison in. I'm just calling a spade a spade. It's one of the worst. It's not even just about prison. You don't even have the right, like many other states, to maintain stable employment in the state of Ohio because they can just terminate your employment at will. They call it at will. There's multiple at will states. Ohio is not done. So you don't have no rights as citizens in this country. Don't be fooled by that garbage, thinking that you got all these damn rights and you're gonna get you a lawyer and your lawyer drink and smoke half high when you go get your lawyer. You don't know your lawyer popping pills unless you really got an idea, but he'll come in there with one of the finest suit, clean cut for the moment just to impress you, then charge you out the ass for a service that you really don't even get and come back and tell you this is what I got you. What? This is what you got. What you got me, I could have got myself and saved my money and did my bid. Like I tell all my people, why waste your time giving your money to these attorneys? These crackers gonna give you time either way you look at it, especially if you know you committed the crime. Why waste your time giving your money to these attorneys? As opposed to preserving your money, be a man or a soldier, do your goddamn time, and then get on up out of there. I understand this ain't the kind of talk that you want to hear. I thank you for chiming in. I thank you for listening. But I got to do what I got to do. This is what I do. That's it. I mean, it just came to me. I was watching something, and I said to myself, our young people today are really, really heartless in the streets of America. And it's all across America. To me, there's no city more violent than the other. It's all the same, basically. Lack of love for one another. First of all, lack of love for self. And if you don't love yourself, then you damn sure ain't gonna show love to nobody else. And if you think that little pop gun that you had, that little pop gun that you had is gonna get you by, you sadly mistaken. Because when you go to prison, you ain't got that. Right? And they be waiting because when a new group come in, the guards have already told the ones that's already in there that they coming. Where you gonna be housed at? They already know all that. They be sitting there waiting for you in the cut. Some of them are smooth. They see you coming. They see you thirsty. They see you hungry in the middle of the night. They pop their ramen noodles, the cookies and chips. You sitting there feeding till you just got there and you don't know what's going on. You just imagine having a bag of those chips, some of that pop or whatever the hell they drinking, and they just set you up. They bait you in. 2 for 1 if you smoke. That's the worst habit you could probably have when you go to jail, smoking. Because now you want a cigarette. One ain't gonna do you. And you go into debt. If you ain't smart, you'll stay in debt. And if you can't pay your debt, then you're subjected to whatever penalty that comes. And I'm not talking about rape at this point. Physical abuse. See? They in there making it seem like prison is the life. And some of you are buying, some of you young people are buying it. You see them with laptops, you see them with computers, you see them with cell phones, you see them with all, they showing you all this, all a plan, a design plan to get you in there. They're not telling you how they got what they got, but you see it. And you say to yourself, shit, if I go to prison, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to live good. And you may. I'm not saying that you're not. You may do great. But, I mean, that's your choice. 30 with an L, 30 to life. Life in prison. That means that same toilet that I put up there, that same steel-plated bed, where you'll probably get a mattress and a thin blanket. You don't get no pillow unless you make one. You'll figure that out. I had to. You'll figure all that out. I had to sleep on the floor for almost 3 months. Almost 3 months. The jail was so damn crowded. We were walking over each other. Stepping over each other. I didn't have 30 with an L. Thank God for that. But I mean, you know, I had enough to realize this ain't where I want to be, right? This ain't what I want to do. To my young people, if you get to listen to this ain't no scared straight video. This ain't none of that. This is reality. This is what you're going to face no matter what prison you go into in America, right? You're going to face these realities. So you have a choice to make. In the Nation of Islam, when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan initiated the Million Man March, there were multiple programs instituted and actually, you know, laid out for our young people to involve themselves with. We came back with the 10,000 Fearless program, which would allow our grassroots organizations to come together collectively in our communities, not our hoods, but in our communities, and reshape and revamp our communities. There's a program we got called Conflict Resolutions, which means through the conflict resolution, you will be able to reach out to members of the Nation of Islam in your community if they are promoting what we're supposed to, and you will be able to connect with the individuals that you may have issues with and create some sort of dialogue or some meeting to resolve the issue without bodily harm to each other. This is what they call the Conflict Resolution Program. It is a phone number that is put out for you to call no matter what you're going through in your life. That is what the Nation of Islam set up for our people. Since many of you say, what has the Nation of Islam done? And I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the Nation of Islam do. If you don't associate with it, if you don't affiliate with it, it really ain't gonna matter. But if you're interested, you need to know that we're not just blowing hot air. I'm not just sitting here with no bow tie on, none of that stuff. There are things that's out there that has been instituted by the Nation of Islam. And there are many grassroots groups that are actually working with the Nation of Islam, and they're seeing success in their communities because they took the hood out of neighborhood and put it back into neighborhood. So you had neighborhood, so you took the hood out of neighborhood, and you got neighbor, but you got a neighbor over here, then you got a hood over here. So we bring back the hood and the neighborhood, reintroduce them to each other, make it one again. Then you have a neighborhood and a beautiful community. You don't have to move in the suburbs because they got communities. Why would you hate on the white folks on the other side of town? Hell, if I was them, I wouldn't want to be involved with a group of people that don't have no value, don't have no morals, and don't have no real goals set in their life for their future generations, right? Why would you want to force yourself on white folks? Leave white people alone. Damn, just let them live. If they over in the suburbs and they're doing good, and you can go through some of the suburbs in the white community and you can see that they're taking care of their communities, why don't we learn? The most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that we should study white people and learn from them and stop being haters and ignorant and using our poor excuse for why we don't have anything. And instead of learning from people, whether they're white, black, green, or yellow, and then reintroduce and take our communities back. I was home not long ago in Paterson, New Jersey, and I drove around and I said to myself, damn, what happened? This ain't the community that I grew up in. It's like Vietnam now. Seriously. It's like a foreign country when I go to Patterson. That's where I'm from. Born and raised. I'm from the 4th Ward. But it ain't the same. We used to be able to stay out till 11 o'clock at night. There was no gunshots. None of that stuff. You serious? Everybody on the block knew each other's child. So we would go to the store, run back up the street, go sit on the little block with each other till mama said, get your behind in the house. Can't do that no more. Those days are done. Just a different time. I get it. But we have the ability to revive our communities, our neighborhoods, right? But to those of our people, my youth, the young people, this message is for you. If you want to be gangster, blood, crip, thug, whatever, that's your choice. Nobody's not knocking you. But you ought to ask yourself a question. Where your gang at when you get caught up? Your bill is $200,000, $300,000, and you calling your mama. You calling your daddy. Because your gang members, we don't want them to know who we are. Nigga, they know who you are. What are you talking about? You don't think that the local police and sheriff department know exactly who you are? Listen to this, man. Every black neighborhood, if you go look on a map of your city, it's like they cut out a certain section of the city. I'm gonna use the word niggerhood, because when they had their little meetings, their shift meetings, they already got you cut out, your section. They know every square of the section that you in. They know where you hide your dope at. They know all of that, man. You can't be serious if you think that they don't know. And if you think that they don't know who you are. They're gonna allow you to commit the crimes that you commit for an extensive period of time. That's why they call it secret indictment. Because secretly they're documenting and recording everything that you're doing. And then when they get ready to close the door and or just run down on you, as they say, and they take you to the courts and the prosecutor's office, well, before they even do that, they already got enough information to require or request a warrant. And the prosecutor's office, especially in Patterson, they're going to initiate a warrant for you. They don't even need enough. Just do whatever they want to do. We have no power. We have no unity. So my youth, my young people, this ain't the end of the world unless you really want it to be. If you want to do 30 with an L, you want to be locked up for 30 years, if you make it, you'll be blessed. But if you can hear some of the tears, man, if you can see some of the tears and hear some of the crying going on right now all across America, young black men and women who done got 30 to life in prison. And now their whole life has changed and their life haven't even started. I'm just saying, family, there's a better way, right? If our people would just unite under one umbrella and fight for freedom, justice, and equality, it would give our younger people an opportunity to survive, to escape the trap, the drugs, the guns. I know it's hard, man. I know it is. Now, trust me, man. I know it's hard for y'all out there. I know it is. People are just randomly shooting people. You really don't know who to trust. Your friends, your cousins, your families, your uncles, your moms, your dads. You don't know who to trust no more. I understand it's hard, man. Sometimes you just got to get up and change your environment. If it get that hard in the community that you came up in, pick yourself up if you could. Change your environment. People, places, and things. Give yourself a chance to survive this great war, Armageddon, because we at war. Self-improvement is the basis for community development. It's not about whether the Nation of Islam is going to do this or this black group or that black group, or somebody come to your school or your community, they give you a good speech and you sit and listen, cheer them on, rah, 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 and it's all said and done. Then you going back home to the same circumstances and conditions that you came out of when you went to the meeting. And that's why we have what we call the 10,000 Fearless program, conflict resolution. I suggest go back and visit the Million Man's March videos of the moment, one of the greatest moments in black history in America, really in the world, to see over 2 million black men come together in harmony. So if it can happen once, it can happen again. And I'm not talking about galvanizing in Washington, but I'm talking about black men coming together and saying, that's it. We done. We eliminating all this so-called gangster crap that's going on, the shooting and the killing, the random shooting and the killing. And we're gonna bring a halt to it collectively, so we can save these young brothers and sisters that's going to prison, as you and I speak. And some of the court cases is amazing to see the crimes that they're committing. And in reality, justice is one's reward of penalties for the acts and deeds. So if you commit a heinous crime, you should be held accountable, right? But there's a way to prevent that, and it's called taking a second look at yourself. Self-improvement, the basis for community development. Say to yourself, do I have to pull out that gun? Do I have to shoot him? Do I have to shoot her? I have a bad relationship. Can I just get out of it without a fight? Can I just walk away? My children will be all right. My moms will be all right. We have to think. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to think 5 times before we speak and literally act. And the biggest problem with our people, we are highly emotional and sensitive people. I can preach Islam, Christianity, God, and all that stuff. That don't mean nothing no more, honestly. Young people today are not even really listening to it because they feel like it has failed them. And it has, because it has not been properly represented. And that's why. Not that God failed us. The misrepresentation of God is the reason why we feel God has failed us. God hasn't failed us. Those who come before us, the hypocrites, the liars, the thieves, the robbers, who come before us and sell us dreams, create all kinds of crazy podcasts, and just sell you. We buy it, and unfortunately, we succumb to it. With that being said, family, I thank you all for listening. I fast and pray. I said nothing to offend anyone, for that's never the intentions. But I wanted to reach my youth, my young people. And I wanted our people to understand, especially if you're 15, 16, 17, 18, there's more to life than you going to prison. If you want a way out of the violence and the crime and all that gangster crap that's going on, there is a way out. There's a way out. You have to be willing to take the stand and take a step and say, that's it. I don't want to be a part of no gang, because it's not really a gang, to be honest with you. It's a bunch of hooligans. Gangsters have property, businesses. Gangsters run the world. They're corrupt people. They're called agencies like sheriff departments. Those are gangsters. Police departments. Those are gangsters. FBI, gangsters. CIA, gangsters. DEA, gangsters. Your mayor, gangsters. Your council, gangsters. Those are all the real gangsters, because those are the most corrupt ones who run your life and dictate how you live on this planet. Thank you for listening. I leave you as I came before you. In the nation, greet the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. To all my young people, I fast and pray, Allah, that you get this message and just sit down and listen to it. You don't have to convict yourself and submit yourself to doing 30 to life. You can get out of that with no problem. All you got to do is use your head. Think about the Million Man March. I know many of you may be too young to know about it. And unfortunately, those of us who do know fail to do our job. We didn't keep the spirit out. We didn't keep the word out. We fell off. We fell in our duties. Many of us, I say us collectively. And because of that, the younger people may not be really aware of the Million Man March, the importance of the Million Man March, what happened in the Million Man March, why the Million Man March took place. And that's why at the beginning of this video, I went that route, because you needed to understand why things are the way they are now. It was a counter move to prevent any growth, any serious growth coming out of the Million Man March, which would have refined our minds and the minds of our young people, as opposed to being this thug or whatever. We become businessmen and corporate men, and we set up businesses and schools in our community with our money. Assalamu alaikum.